Hello everybody, welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast and welcome to my League One prediction. Of course, this week it is match week 18. It is a jam-packed schedule of League One action. I've got to be honest, these are probably some of the biggest games of the season. So many huge teams going head-to-head this week in League One. I can't wait to delve into it and cannot wait to give my predictions. Probably one of the toughest weeks as well to be doing predictions. But it's this time of the week again. It is League One predictions. I cannot wait to get into it. So, let's crack straight on with it then. Starting off with Accrington Stanley against Sheffield Wednesday. If you enjoy this type of content, you want to see the predictions happen more and more often, please make sure you leave a like and subscribe. It's free and easy to do both of those things. It won't just be predictions, of course. We do lots of other content on the channel and on the podcast. Recently just did one looking at XG and looking at League One, the truth behind what has been one of the most unpredictable League One campaigns. I can take it from me. This has been one of the most unpredictable League One campaigns because predicting every single week these fixtures is so difficult. But if you want to see that content, that video of course is on the podcast right now. You can watch that at any time, and you don't want to miss those sort of episodes of the podcast. Hitting that notification bell for one is one of the most easiest ways of doing that, and yeah, you'll be notified whenever I go live or do a recorded episode just like this one. So, let's not mess about, let's get straight into it. Starting off with, like I said, Accrington Stanley against Sheffield Wednesday. An interesting game, this one. Accrington Stanley currently find themselves in 14th, but in not great form. They've lost their last game. They drew the ones before that as well. They haven't won a game in the last 3 games, which is a little bit of a struggling position for Accrington Stanley. They lost at home last week as well, I believe, quite heavily. And Sheffield Wednesday, well, they come into this game unbeaten and for a while really, but at the moment it feels a lot like draws. Draws is what is holding Sheffield Wednesday back. They drew their last game. They've only won 1 in their last 5, but they've drawn 4 of those. So again, like I said, it's very draw heavy for Sheffield Wednesday at the moment if they want to get out of this league, which of course they have massive aspirations of doing that since we're obviously relegated last season. They want to get out. They need to start turning those points into 3 points. It sounds stupid, but it's true. And when you look at how many draws they got this season, they've got 8 draws. I believe that's the most amount of draws in the league from any other team in League One this year, and to start turning that into wins. But like I said, I mean, the confidence is there for Sheffield Wednesday. They're not losing games of football. It's how they turn those into wins. And against Accrington Stanley, I think they're going to do that. I'm predicting 2-0 to Accrington Stanley. Again, like I said, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be quite a test. But I still think they've got what it takes. Accrington Stanley, like I said, are struggling at the moment. And Sheffield Wednesday will be desperate to turn that into wins. I think they can do that on Saturday. So yeah, I'm going to go with Accrington Stanley 0, Sheffield Wednesday 2. So, in the next game, we've got Charlton Athletic against Plymouth Argyle. What a game of football. I mean, it's a fantastic match, this one. Of course, Charlton Athletic are currently sat in 17th, but slowly crawling their way up that League One table. Slow starts, got rid of their manager, and now looking pretty good, if we're being honest. The last 4 games have had 3 wins in there, a draw in there as well. They really are now starting to build some momentum, which is really important. They're getting better week by week. The confidence is going. They still haven't appointed a manager, I believe, as of yet, but at the moment they haven't got a manager, but they're still doing really well. Of course, they've got the caretaker manager at the moment, and he's given that balance, almost that sort of freedom now. They haven't got a manager. Go and express yourselves. It's working a treat over at Charlton Athletic. They're doing a fantastic job. They're clawing up the table. Only 9 points now, which I say is only 9, but that can easily be. Those points can easily be found. We're only at 17 games into the season. It's so easy to sort of claw those points up, especially in this league. Like I say, where everyone's beating everyone, Charlton can really climb up that table. Really quickly. Plymouth Argyle, though, I mean, they're a different gravy side at the moment, aren't they? This season, they're a different breed completely. They've been fantastic so far this season. They're league leaders, of course. Won 10 games, only lost 1. They have drew 6 as well, but generally on 36 points. The last 5 games, 4 wins out of their last 5, like I said there. They're drawing there as well. They're doing fantastically well. They've scored 32 goals this season, I believe. Other than one team, I believe Ipswich Town, that's the most amount of goals in the league. They're doing fantastically well, and what Plymouth Argyle have done this season is phenomenal. And there's a reason for that. I've watched them this season so well organised, a really good side. They have a game plan, they have a style of play, and they're executing it so well, and they fully deserve to be where they are. And against Charlton, like I mentioned there, I think it's going to be a real test. I'm going to go with 1-1. I think it's at Charlton, it's at the Valley. I know Plymouth are doing fantastically well, but it's at the Valley. I'm going to go with 1-1 in this game because I think it's going to be 2 sides that, again, are in really good form. I know Plymouth had a better season than Charlton so far, but Charlton are a different side now. You're only as good as your last game. So I think, if we're being honest, I think it's going to be a draw. It's going to be a tight game, a really good game of football, I predict. I'm going to go with 1-1. Next up then, we've got Cheltenham Town, against Shrewsbury Town. The towns going against each other here. And Cheltenham, the last 3 games, they've drawn 2. They've actually drawn the last 2 and lost the game before that. Really good home form, showing a little bit on the road this season, but no surprise, really. They've just been promoted into League One. I generally say that they're doing a really, really good job this season. And Gillingham, they're currently in... Shrewsbury Town, that's the next fixture, Gillingham. Shrewsbury Town are in the relegation, so they're currently in 21st. A little bit inconsistent recently. The last 5 games they've lost 2, they've won 2, they've drawn the last game. They're a little bit all over the shop at the moment, Shrewsbury. Didn't look great when they played against Oxford United earlier in the season. I watched that game. They weren't that great, if we're being honest. Oxford were pretty decent on the night, but generally Shrewsbury didn't look like a great footballing side, and they've been quite inconsistent, which is probably the reason why that they are where they are, just inside that relegation zone. And again, Cheltenham, like I said, they did okay. Recently, they're not doing amazingly well. I'm going to go with a 0-0 draw in this game. I know it's not an attractive score by any means, but I think a 0-0 draw, it's just got written over it on this one. So I'm going to go with a draw, a goalless draw. I'm going to go with 0-0. But not all goalless draws have to be boring games. Ipswich versus Oxford was a pretty decent game to watch, and that was a 0-0 draw. It was a long journey up to Ipswich, though, for an Oxford perspective, to watch a 0-0 draw. But anyway, that's been and gone now. Let's move on to the next game. So we've got Crewe, Alexandra, and against Gillingham this one. And yeah, this is going to be a really, really interesting game of football. Crewe, Alexandra are currently sat in... Well, they're bottom of the league, aren't they? 24th. They have only won 1 game this season. They've won 10, and in the last 5 games, they've lost 4 and drawn a game in there as well. They're not doing well at all. They're really, really struggling, and they're going to have to turn it around really, really quickly if they want to try and claw the way up. But they've got a long way to claw. They're in 9 points. 20th position has 15 points. They really need to start getting some results quickly as possible. Will they be doing against Gillingham? I don't think they will be. I'm predicting them to lose the game 3-1. And Gillingham are currently in 19th. They're not doing unbelievably well. I've got to be honest, though, in the last 4 games, actually, they're unbeaten. So if they can turn this game into a win, this will be a really good sort of momentum boost for them to go on and hopefully propel themselves up the table. But I mean, Crewe have been really struggling this season. Like I said in that last video, looking at XG, looking at why teams are where they are, they're really, really struggling. They're in a really bad position, and there's a lot of reasons why that. So if you want to find out why your team's doing really well or really poorly, that's the video for you. But Crewe are struggling massively. I'm going to go with them losing the game 3-1. I'm going to go with Crewe 1, Gillingham 3. A tough game, and a game I think they're going to lose, if I'm being honest. Doncaster Rovers then against Lincoln City. Doncaster aren't much better than Crewe in league position, 23rd, just 1 place above them. They're playing against a side in Lincoln City who are slowly but surely getting up the table. They're currently sat in 15th. Recently, they've done okay. They drew the last game and then won the game before that. Michael Appleton needs to find some momentum quickly with this side. I think he is slowly doing that. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game, this one. And like I said, away from home for Lincoln City, I'm intrigued. I really want to see how this game is going to pan out. I'm going to Lincoln City win here. I'm going to go with Doncaster 0, Lincoln City 1. Mainly because I think Lincoln City have got that quality. They've got that quality, and I'm back in Lincoln. They will find some form. They will, move their way up the table. I believe they've got the quality and of manager to be able to do that. So yeah, I'm going to go with Doncaster 0, Lincoln City 1. So, Fleetwood Town against Morecambe then. What have I predicted for this game? Fleetwood come into this game in 22nd position. Morecambe are currently in 20th. Morecambe, the last 5 games, they're not doing very well. They've lost 4 and drawn the other one. They have not won a game in their last 5. Whereas their opposition, Fleetwood, are doing... not much better either. In the last 4 games, they've drawn 1 and lost 3. Both teams come into this game in really quite poor form. This game really could go either way when it comes to form. It's at home for Fleetwood, and this game's quite hard to predict because of that form being quite bad. I do sort of take form into consideration quite a lot. I think that's quite an important factor when predicting games of football, but this one's quite hard to go with because both of them come into this game with pretty rubbish form. But I've edged for a home advantage and for a home win here. I've gone with Fleetwood 2, Morecambe 1. Like I said, form is out the window. Both teams come into this game in pretty bad form. Squad for squad, it's quite tight. I think I've watched Morecambe play this season. They didn't look bad at all. But I think away from home, Fleetwood, in front of the home fans, maybe could get something from the game. I'm going to go 2-1 to Fleetwood. Quite a difficult game to predict, but I'm going to go 2-1. Next up then, we've got MK Dons against Burton Albion. MK Dons are currently in 5th position, doing pretty well. The last few games have been promising. The last 2 games have actually got themselves a win. Burton, not doing great. The last 3 games have been in defeats. They have lost their last 3 games in a row. It's not looking great for Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank at Burton Albion. Is this the game to turn it around? I'm not too sure. MK Dons have done very, very well this season and are doing a really, really good job in League One. They're in a playoff position. They're in 5th. They're playing good football. And, like I said, looking at form, they've won their last 2 games, whereas Burton have lost their last 3. And it's at MK Dons as well. So I think that could, that could make a difference. So I'm going to go with MK Dons win. I'm going to go 2-0. I'm going to go with MK Dons 2, Burton Albion 0. It's going to be a hard game. I know it will be. Burton will always pose a threat, whatever form they're in. It's not the only thing to take into consideration, of course. But I still think, when we look at the squad, I think MK Dons have got this one in the bag. I'm going to go with MK Dons 2, Burton Albion 0. So the next game then, we've got Portsmouth or Pompey against AFC Wimbledon. AFC Wimbledon are currently sat in a pretty Wimbledon position. If I wouldn't take offence to that. AFC Wimbledon fans, they're in 18th, sort of where I expected them, to be honest. They lost the last 2 games. They did win the game before that, but Portsmouth, they're slowly growing a bit of momentum now, which is the most important thing. Momentum in football is massive, and Portsmouth are slowly doing that. The last game, of course, got themselves a win. Before that, they actually drew. Before that, they got a win. Before that, they got a draw. So at the moment, they're alternating between a draw and a win. But they're not losing games, which is the most important. They're not losing games of football, and that is going to be taken into, that's what it's taken into consideration massively when predicting this game. Like I said, Portsmouth need to climb into contention, the top 6 as quickly as possible, and they are doing that now with results now going their way. So I'm going to go with a Portsmouth win here. I'm going to go 3-1. I'm backing Portsmouth. I think against AFC Wimbledon, they got this one in the bag. I'm going to go 3-1. Next, and we've got Rotherham United against Cambridge United. Rotherham are doing very, very well this season. They're in 3rd position. The last 5 games they haven't lost. They've actually won 3 at the last 5. And Cambridge United are currently sat in, like I said, a very respectable finish for a team that's been promoted. They're in 12th. They did lose their last game. Before that, they did win 2. But I think Rotherham have got. I think Rotherham have got this one. I think they do. I know Cambridge, they have lost their last game. They did win 2 games before that. But I think Rotherham have been very, very good this season. They've been fantastic in a lot of areas of the pitch, and I think they've got this one really. I think the 3 points they've got this one sorted basically. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way towards Cambridge United. They really could pose a threat. Everyone could pose a threat in this league, as we know. But I think it's going to be a pretty comfortable Rotherham win. I'm going to go 2-0 in this game. Sunderland against Ipswich Town, then what a game of football this is going to be. 2 sides, realistically, that are, Sunderland are higher than Ipswich in the league, but form suggests that it really could go either way. Sunderland have lost the last 3 games and now dropped outside the playoff places. For Sunderland, it's not looking as good as we may have thought at the start of the season. For Ipswich Town, they're now really climbing up the League One table. They drew against Oxford, of course. I was there. I was there on Saturday. Ipswich fans would have their own sort of thoughts on that game. We won't go into that again. You can watch the match reaction for that. And they won before that. They've only actually lost 1 in the last 5 games. They've won 3 and drawn the other. They're getting some real, they're getting some form on now, which is really important for Ipswich. Against Sunderland, like I said, who have lost their last 3 games? Who's got the confidence? Who's going to go there? It's at the Stadium of Light, of course. I think it's going to be a draw. I'm going to go with 1-1. I think the Stadium of Light is one of the most difficult stadiums to go. I know they have lost at home this season, but I still think that I think it's going to be a really difficult place to go. Ipswich, I think, may struggle against what is still a very, very good Sunderland side. And they have lost the last 3 games. There's still quality in that side. There's no doubt about that. But I think they've got it in the bag for a draw this game. I think it's sorted. I'm going to go with Sunderland 1, Ipswich Town 1. Next, and we've got Wigan against Oxford United. Wigan are currently sat in 2nd. Oxford United currently sat in 6th. Wigan, in the last 2 games, they've actually won. They did lose the game before that. Oxford, of course, unbeaten in the last 4, and 3 of those were victories. And we're playing good football. We didn't play as good football at the weekend, but generally doing a really, really good job at the moment. When we look at the league table, we're currently sat in 6th, and we're doing quite well. But this is going to be a real test. What a test this is going to be. Away from home against 2nd in the league, who are in great, great form, and are doing very, very well in League One, with no doubt fantastic quality of players. I never normally do this, but I am going to actually predict an Oxford United defeat. I know it's hard, it's paining me to do so, but I'm going to go with 1-0 to Wigan. I think Wigan have got this. I think it's going to be a bit, maybe too much of a test, this one. Away from home, I want to back Oxford United. Of course, I don't want to back Oxford every week, and I hope Oxford United do Wigan, and beat them comfortably. But that's being unrealistic. We've got to try and take our bias away from this one. It's difficult, but I'm doing so. I'm going to go with Wigan 1, Oxford United 0. Like I said, it pains and hurts me to say it, but Wigan have been phenomenal this season. Oxford have been good this season. Don't get me wrong; they've been very, very good. But I think away from home, this just could be a step too far. It could be a draw. I was sort of edging. I won't lie. I was edging towards 1-1, and then I thought, I think Wigan might have one in this bag. It might be 2-1, I don't know. But I'm going to go with 1-0 to Wigan in this game. It hurts to say such a thing, but I think it's going to happen, unfortunately. Wycombe Wanderers against Bolton Wanderers then. The Wanderers going against each other. We have the Towns against each other. We've now got the Wanderers against each other. Wycombe Wanderers, they are currently sat in 4th and have actually lost the last 2 games and drawn the game for that as well. They haven't won a game in their last 3. With Bolton Wanderers, though, they're getting a little bit better. They're in pretty horrific form before they beat Crewe 2-0 last week. I believe it was the Friday game. This is going to be quite interesting. 2 teams that, again, I know, like I said, Bolton did win the last game. Before that, they weren't in great form. 2 sides not playing their best at the moment this season, going against each other. But one team is in a higher place in the table and have played better generally across the season. Of course, that's Wycombe. That's the team I'm going to go with the win here. I'm going to go with 2-1 to Wycombe. I was going to go with 2-2, but I think away from home for Bolton, this could be a bit of a test. I mean, it's going to be a test, whatever, but this could be a bit too far of a test. I'm going to go with Wycombe Wanderers 2, Bolton 1. It wouldn't surprise me if it's a draw, to be honest. It really wouldn't. The form that Wycombe are on, they're not doing great at all, but I back them at home. I'm going to go with 2-1. Ladies and gentlemen, they have been my predictions. A jam-packed schedule of League One football this week. And, of course, we didn't have many games last week. It's good to be back with a full selection of League One games. And what a selection they are going to be. What a weekend of football we've got as League One fans. If you enjoy this episode of the podcast, please make sure you leave a like and subscribe. It's free and easy to do both of those things, of course. And also, hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode of the podcast. You don't want to miss an episode of the podcast. Why would you want to miss an episode of the pod? Also, like I said, leave a like, all that good stuff as well. Share it, leave a comment. What are your predictions? Leave a comment in the description down below. Not the description, that's where I read it. In the comments is where you should put that, down below. The description is also down below. And yeah, I'll be reading them. I'll be responding to them as per usual. Until next time, thank you so much for watching. Until then, stay safe. I'll see you all very, very soon. Take care.